This episode of the Topcast is proudly supported by tonebase.co.
I used to think that those days were write-offs or I had to fight through it. Now I will grab my iPad or I will grab my professional development books and I will use that as a research day. I won't make any finite plans or anything, but I will just get information. And it works perfectly with my energy levels. Whereas then if I have lots of energy, those are the days I'm putting on like a really awesome playlist, I'm dancing, and I am hitting my to-do list like nobody's business. The projects are just flying. My husband comes home and I'm like, guess what? I did like these 10 things today. And he's like, that's great, babe. You know?
Hi teachers, welcome back to the Topcast, the official Music Teachers podcast. I'm absolutely delighted that you're tuning in to episode number 197, and a big shout out to my TopMusicPro teachers. You can grab our transcript and show notes at topmusic.co/episode 197. In today's episode, we're going to be resuming our talk with TopMusicPro member and blogger Rosemarie Penner about balancing family life while running a studio. What did you think of episode 1 last week? I hope you enjoyed the interview. She's just got so many great ideas, and today we're going to unpack what technology Rosemarie can't live without, the big change she's planning in her studio in the next little while, and also get some inspiration from 2 of her favourite books. Now, I just wanted to remind you that July is here, of course, and we're featuring content this month on finding great repertoire on both topmusic.co, the blog, and YouTube. And our repertoire detective was actually built to help teachers find the perfect sheet music for their students. And you can access the repertoire detective as well as our latest July Top Music Sheets pack featuring the fabulous music of Justin Levitt inside our Top Music Pro membership. So without further ado, let's jump straight back into my interview with Rosemarie right where we left off. Now, we promised people we'd talk a little bit about technology, which I'm keen to move on to. And I know you've got a blog, I think, about the apps that you can't live without.
Yes.
Do you want to share a few ideas about both teaching and business? I think you've got some suggestions there about what you use.
Sure. Well, I would say any app or technology that you're using, you have to understand you're the one that controls your time, not the technology. And that while technology is wonderful, there should always be a reason for it. So even though I use lots of technology, there's always a reason for everything. In terms of time management, notifications, like leave your devices on mute, it drives my husband crazy. Well, it used to drive him crazy. Now he can just call down the stairs. But he would call me during the day on my phone and I wouldn't hear it because it was on mute. I tried one day to leave it off mute, and it drove me insane. I want the notifications so I can see them and I know, okay, you know what? I only have like 5 emails I don't need to check for a while yet, or whatever it may be. But yeah, 5 minutes after I went on that experiment, I'm like, and we're done. Like it's mute.
Yeah. And those on-screen desktop notifications are a shocker as well. We had to teach our boys about turning off notifications on all devices if you want to get any work done. It's so essential.
Well, and my kids talked about that in the first weeks. Because we said, well, just don't have this open. And they said, well, the problem is that, so some of the students are using Discord as well. And they said, we never know if one of our friends needs help with an assignment from school or whether they just want to talk. And so they didn't feel like they could turn it off. They seem to be better about it now-ish. It depends on the day. Sometimes I go upstairs quickly to check on them, like, and why are you chatting right now?
Right.
Yeah. And so they've got to shut things down, but it's a learning process, right? For them, most adults haven't figured out how to handle it. I mean, I know I still struggle, so I'm not going to expect my almost 12-year-old twins to have mastered it yet.
Right. Exactly.
But understand that notifications, they're just telling you about something. It does not mean you need to act on them right away. So I kind of alluded to this before. I let my clients know that I understand you're going to want to get something off of your brain. So if you want to send me an email, if you want to send me a text on the weekend, go for it. I'm actually not going to get upset about it, but I will not answer on the weekend. What I will do is I will put you on my to-do list because I do value what you are asking me and I value as a person, and I will get back to you on Monday. But I'm not going to especially, it's a little muddled right now, but with just the way everything's been, it's that grace, right?
Yeah.
But normally, I have very clear boundaries. Like after a certain time, I do not answer texts or emails or even the phone.
And they're the kinds of things that you can put in a studio policy and make really clear to parents at the start. It's you either say, please don't message or email me on the weekends, or you say it's okay, but don't expect a response. And I've even seen, I can't remember if your emails have it. Some people do say, look, I only check my emails in the afternoons. Don't expect an immediate reply kind of thing.
I do not have that, but I have heard of that. Actually, it's the author of the 4-Hour Work Week apparently has it up as.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. And so, you have to decide what works for you. I don't want to get upset with my clients because they have a question. I think that's a reasonable thing for them to ask questions. And so, I would say just decide what works for you. I do it actually. Here's the way I word it actually. I tell new clients that when I am with them, with their child, I am 100% focused on their child and their music education. But in order to be able to do that, when I'm with my family, I'm 100% with my family. And so it allows me to recharge and give that 100% to them when I should be doing that, because I want to give them the best possible experience. I have yet to meet a new client that tells me, I don't really want the best experience. Like, nobody says that, right? And
no, of course not.
the ones who aren't comfortable with it, they will not sign the contract. So I actually do that in the first meeting and just make sure it's very clear, right? And so, you just dictate.
Any other thoughts on technology?
Yeah, so in terms of teaching, I would say keep it at your fingertips. So whether you travel teach like I have, or whether you have an in-home studio, for example, my teaching space is not actually in the same room as my office. Otherwise, our kids would have nowhere to play. I had to leave them some space at least, right? So I make sure everything is right at my fingertips, any books I need, but I also really heavily use online storage so that I can send things immediately in lesson. Why make more work for yourself outside of lesson if you don't have to? If a parent asks, could you send me that form again? Yeah, not a problem. Let me just quickly find it, send it to you immediately in lesson. I don't want to have to spend my time doing those little things when I could do it in lesson. And then decide how your devices are going to be used with students. So I have an iPad that I use that students get to use, and then I have my iPad. I'm fortunate that I'm able to do that. But if you share it with the students, maybe you have one page that is strictly student stuff, one page that is strictly your stuff. I use Scanbee all the time, but like anything that will allow you to create PDFs, especially right now, some publishers, not all, but some publishers will allow you to scan a copy of the song and then email it to the parents with the caveat that they need to delete it. What I would recommend is put it in online storage that you share with them.
Share a
private.
Link,
yeah. So what I do is I make sure that a copy of that PDF goes in a shared folder that the parents and the students can access. They print it directly from there. It's not on their device at all. And then once everything's back to normal, those will just get deleted. I use YouTube all the time. Planboard is the app that I use for planning lessons. It's for schools, but I like that I can have a PDF and I can change it within the lesson.
Okay, I haven't heard of Planboard.
Yeah, I've been using it for years and it's really great. You can attach PDFs. Those don't go through once you email it as a PDF, but it keeps me that if I forgot to put something in my Google Drive that I could access it from there if I needed. You can add images, videos, all sorts of stuff. Google Drive, and then you record too. I use that a lot in lessons.
You record?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're on number 2 now though. But that one is really simple. There's a red button and you press the red button and it records. And then you just press the red button and it stops recording. You can send them as MP4s to students. You can upload it to Drive. You can do whatever you want with it. You can trim it, you can change the name of it. I like having students use it because when they don't listen to themselves play, because let's face it, it happens, I just say, record yourself and then listen to it. And what is that one thing you're going to change? And then you're going to record yourself again. Some students do that more so than others. Or if they're not going to believe me, because let's face it, we're adults, we know nothing. So students that, have a tendency going, no, I did have the right rhythm. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to record you. And then we're going to listen to it. And you tell me, is the rhythm matching? Sometimes it is because they really made sure that they fixed the rhythm. I'm fine with that because they fixed the rhythm. I don't care that I was wrong. And I'm putting that in quotation marks. Yeah.
One of the great things about digital pianos is that with one click, you can record and play back. I think that's just a huge bonus of digital pianos.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're not able to do that, a student, if they've got a cell phone, they can use an app like that. Music Memos is another iOS one. I heard rumors that Shawn Mendes uses it for initial song ideas. So I figure if it's
must be good.
If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. So, and then, in terms of your business, honestly, I can actually run both of my businesses off of my iPad Pro. Not everything's going to be fully efficient, but I can do it. So anything that you need, social media, Canva can be a little glitchy. So I don't know, unless it's really basic, I wouldn't do it. Keeping track of your mileage if you travel teach, an accounting program so that you can hopefully, one that you can scan your receipts is even better.
Scan receipts straight in, yep. Get rid of those shoe boxes.
Yes. Schedule a time for social media where you're going to schedule it out and that you're going to check, and then set a timer, because otherwise it's this dark hole that you just spiral it down into it. So usually I spend 15, maybe 20 minutes if it's not scheduling. And then on the weekend, I give myself like an hour to just deep dive. But other than that, during the week, it's get in, get out. Just try and be really purposeful about it. All of these are on my site, actually, and I can give you the link afterwards as well. But it's www.theunfinishedlesson.com. I guess it's /best-apps-for-studio. So best apps for studio. And if you scroll down, there's teaching and there's business.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great. We'll put a link in our show notes as well, Rosemarie. That's great. This episode is presented in collaboration with our friends at Tonebase. Tonebase is an online music education platform dedicated to making the highest level instruction affordable to students, teachers, and amateurs around the world. The Tonebase piano artist roster features world-class concert pianists and recording artists like Garrick Olson and Simona Dinestine, legendary musicians like Leon Fleischer, gold medalists of Chopin, Clyburn, and Queen Elizabeth international competitions, as well as professors from top conservatories like Juilliard, Curtis, Eastman, Yale, and Peabody. In a library of over 150 high-quality, in-depth videos, these artists share their insights with you on the craft of piano playing in all its breadth, including tutorials on intermediate and advanced repertoire, workshops on technique and musicianship, as well as interviews and special features. As a privilege of joining Top Music Pro, members receive free, unlimited access to the Tonebase piano platform. Join Top Music Pro to experience the incredible resources Tonebase has to offer at topmusicpro.com. And for more information on Tonebase, visit tonebase.co/piano. That's tonebase.co/piano for more information. So we also talked about, or you mentioned preconceived notions when we were talking about this and how they can hold you back. Do you want to just elaborate on that before we start wrapping things up?
Sure. So I was telling you, this is actually a recent one for me. I hadn't necessarily realized that it can hold you back so much. We need to stay open to possibilities because we stay stuck. And I think this whole situation right now has really made that clear for a lot of us. We had preconceived notions. One of the ones for me was, so here in Canada, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but winter can get awfully cold. It can get down to -25, -30, and even down to -40, or even colder than that. That's Celsius, by the way. And
nasty.
I'm getting older, and I'll be honest, I don't necessarily like traveling in those conditions. I've spent entire evenings where I'm cold because I've gone to a cold car to the house where I've taught long enough to thaw slightly, and then I'm back in a cold car because I keep moving my students closer to where I live. And I thought, okay, well, if I don't want to do this, I have to have an in-home studio. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars more on a mortgage because we can't do that here in our current home. It turns out, actually, I can online teach. That's actually the big change that's happening in my studio. I'm going to transition everything online because I get what I want.
Okay, wait, everything?
Everything will be online.
You're going to a full online studio?
I am.
Exciting.
I know. I'm really excited. Oh my God. My current clients, because obviously they didn't sign on with that expectation. So I'm giving them the option. It'll be kind of like my Saturdays where as I get new students, they will be all online. And then my current clients, they will have that option for now. I can't guarantee it for the future, but I really would like to just, if they really, really want the in-home lessons, I don't want to take it away from them. One of my families, both of the kids are on the autism spectrum, and they're actually moving online, but they asked, but we're really missing you. And some of it is a little bit harder online. Is it possible to do like a hybrid approach? And so with that particular family, I went, what, fair enough. So I'll do a hybrid with them. But yeah, that's like the big thing. Now, if this situation hadn't happened, I would have thought that we had to buy a new house, specifically a house that has side access and parking, that has a walkout basement, that has an area that is separated enough from the rest of the house that our preteen boys can, as they're teenagers, hang out with their friends.
Without interrupting, yep.
Yeah. And I didn't want to give up seeing where my students practice, right? I didn't really want to give that up. I actually felt like that was the biggest drawback of having an in-home studio. That and cleaning a bathroom that other people had used. I like a clean bathroom, but I don't want to clean the bathroom. So I know that's a weird thing, but anyways, it's a thing. But yeah, online teaching gives me everything I want. But if I hadn't been open to that opportunity, if I hadn't been open to the possibilities, I wouldn't have realized that. So basically, I guess, what is for other teachers, maybe you don't want to teach online. Like you're not like me where you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. That's okay. But what can you take from online teaching? What can you take from what's going on right now and apply it to your teaching afterwards? Does it change the way that you approach teaching new concepts or new songs? Are you going to use different apps that you haven't used before? Are you going to do your registration process a little bit differently and streamline it? There's so many different options that we have. And if we don't stay open to them, if we have these preconceived notions and hold on so tightly to them, then our studios stay stuck as well. And the other part of it is, especially in my area, we're expecting a really big recession pretty soon here. And so actually online lessons is going to give me the opportunity, like you'd said, you expand where you can market to. And I would have been very worried for my studio and being able to grow it if I didn't have this option available. So yeah, just try not to hold on to ideas too tightly, because there may be something even better out there that you hadn't ever imagined that it's the perfect solution. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Great way to sort of conclude our talk today. So thank you for that. I did want to ask just a few final questions. One is that I know you're a huge reader, and so I thought it'd be great to ask if you could pick one. What's one book you've read recently that's really changed your perspective on this whole idea of balance, if there is one?
Yeah, I am a voracious reader. I typically read a novel right now it's like every day and a half to 2 days.
Wow. When do you get the time to do that? Or is that part of your ladder? You make that time?
I make the time, but also my family makes sure that I have the time, because if I don't have time to read, it means I'm going to go, we should do? We should remove everything from the playroom and then we should reorganize it all. Or why don't we, and they're like, no, right. Why?
Just read your book.
Yeah, exactly. The joke is actually that I will say to them, I'm like, guys, I hate to break it to you, but I'm down to my last book. And all of them go, no. And so at least when I used to be able to go to the library, they're like, so we're going to the library, what, today, tomorrow? We got to make sure that Rosemary has got her books. But yeah, so the two that I'm going to say is Do Less by Kate Northrup. It's written by a mom entrepreneur for moms. And she talks about your flow of energy and cyclical living. And so basically this idea that we're not robots, right? And so work with what your energy levels are. I used to think this was kind of woo-woo until I tried it and went, oh my goodness. So she talks about so for example, I have days where I just want to sit on the couch with a blanket, with my cup of tea, and probably a good book. And I don't really want to do anything else. Well, I used to think that those days were write-offs, or I had to fight through it. Now I will grab my iPad or I will grab my professional development books and I will use that as a research day. I won't make any finite plans or anything, but I will just get information. And it works perfectly with my energy levels. Whereas then if I have lots of energy, those are the days I'm putting on like a really awesome playlist. I'm dancing and I am hitting my to-do list like nobody's business. The projects are just flying. My husband comes home and I'm like, guess what? I did like these 10 things today. And he's like, that's great, babe. You know, as long as he doesn't have to do all 10 of them, he's okay.
I think giving yourself permission to have those days when you aren't productive, I find them very difficult to manage because I'm quite a high achiever and ambitious, and I like to be productive on every day. There are days that sometimes are write-offs for every one of us, and I'm bad because I will beat myself up over how little I've done on a day. I have to be kinder to myself, and that's what you've just explained really well.
Yeah, well, and understanding that that's a day when you just need to be focused on something else, right? And so research actually, or she talks about, crossing your T's, dotting your I's. It's the mundane stuff. So actually, I had a few days like that. I cleaned out all 6 of my email boxes. I had gotten down to inbox 0 because going through it
Great
was
feeling.
dull enough that was like perfect for what I needed.
Right. Yeah.
It's something I thought about for years. And it just by
reorganizing your Dropbox folders or playlists, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so one of the things she says is when we believe we don't have enough time, we rush and we see the whole world through a lens of lack. And so it's this understanding that it's okay to step back. The other book is Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo. Have you read that one?
I haven't. I've heard of Marie Forleo through Amy Porterfield.
Yes, she is fabulous. If you want somebody who's just going to tell you like it is and not mince words with you, she is your person. So she says when you're faced with an opportunity to grow, it's normal to feel hesitant and unsure. So you just don't be afraid of the ups and downs. Instead, you prepare creative ways to deal with and learn from them. And through this whole pandemic, every time that things got overwhelming for me, I just kept thinking, you know what? Everything is figure outable. She has this amazing story about her mom. Read the book in order to get the story. But she was really inspired by her mom because that was her mom's motto, was that everything is figure outable. So I would highly recommend it because it helps you with balance. You understand you will figure out a solution for everything. And in terms of balance, that's important, right? Sometimes we go, okay, but my kids need me and my husband needs me and my business needs me. And I'm supposed to have time somewhere in all of this. You can figure it out if you do the being open to the possibilities, right?
Nice. I like it. Right. Thank you so much, Rosemary. I did want to also ask you, you've been a Top Music Pro member for some time. In fact, you're our Canada Forum leader, which has been great. We mentioned that right at the start of the episode, how much value you've been creating and support you've been giving to other members. What does Top Music Pro membership mean to you, and what kind of changes have occurred since you've been a member?
So I would say the community is really the biggest thing. I mean, you get support and encouragement. You can ask questions. At one point, I was asking what musical structure of a cueca is. A cueca is a traditional dance.
I remember that question.
Yeah. People said they were going to ask like relatives in South America. I might have to ask that one again because actually I don't remember if they got back to me.
I think we referred it to Bradley Sowash as well. We thought he might be the man to answer it.
I know. And you know what? I just think it's really amazing that you can ask anything and there's people all over the world. When we did our Music Around the World, it was like a studio theme last year. I remember asking, for different regions, what is artists that you would recommend? And, what was the one that you guys recommended? You guys recommended a few from Australia, and oh my goodness, like one of them, I just listened to his music for like 2 hours straight. I'm like, which one am I gonna pick? And my students really enjoyed it too. So yeah, in terms of the Canada group, I mean, I am really excited that we have different regions so that if you have a regional question, you can ask it. At the same time, if you ask in the main community, people will answer as well.
But it's great because you can tell people about what's coming up as well in your area, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's always new courses, new offerings. Like you're not going to get bored with it. I can say for me, it's grown with me as I've grown in what I want to pursue in my business. And that's changed over time, right? Like it will change over time. As my kids get older, I can do different things. And so then my focus has changed. And yeah, the community has definitely helped with that.
Fantastic. And one of those changes that you have made is to create products that you can sell online. And I'm delighted that you've joined our Top Music Marketplace as one of our sellers. It's very, very exciting.
It is exciting.
And that's gone live now in a little kind of beta mode. So we haven't talked about it too publicly, but everyone on the podcast has heard about it from our episode with Jennifer Fox. So do head over to topmusicmarketplace.com. What are you offering over there for us at the moment, Rosemarie?
So I'm offering rhythm warm-ups that get students off the bench. And if you can sing chords, you can play chords. So both of those are multi-month warm-ups that you can do within your studio. I tested them out with my students and they loved them. And you start off the bench, and then actually each activity gets you from off the bench to the bench improvising, and then even ideas in terms of like tie that in with the rest of the lesson. I'm a huge fan of Paul Harris's simultaneous learning. And so I'm always trying to find ways that I can take different elements of music and just tie it through the whole lesson. And so both of those will do it.
Love that. That's so great. Well, thank you very much for being a part of that. Thank you for the conversation we've had today. Very, very cool to unpack these things. I know they're sometimes hard to talk about or things that we don't want to think about, but they're so, so crucial for our ongoing success, both in life and also in our studios. So I think it's been really important to have this conversation. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here. It's one of my favorite topics, to be honest.
That's great. Remind everyone your website address.
Sure. It's www.theunfinishedlesson.com. And you can find me on social media. Like we have a private and public Facebook group and on Instagram as well.
Fantastic. All right, Rosemarie, I'll let you get on with your evening. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries. Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed part 2 of my chat with Rosemarie Penner and are able to take away some ideas about how you could go about avoiding burnout and organising your priorities, and also just making sure that the things that you set yourself up to do are reasonable and you don't have too big a to-do list like I do. I've learned lots from my chat and I hope you have too. If you enjoy the show, then please do subscribe and leave us a review. I personally enjoy reading each and every one. It does help other listeners find our show, and you can find out more about how to do that. If you're not sure about how to review a podcast, you can find out how to at topmusic.co/iTunes, or you can jump on my Facebook page and leave a review there as well. I'm Tim Topham, and you've been listening to the Topcast from topmusic.co. I'll speak to you soon. For more information about this episode and to find out how to enhance your own teaching, visit topmusic.co. You'll find everything you need for your studio, from lesson plans to cheat sheets, quick win teaching ideas, and guides on how to build your teaching business. Plus, you'll be connected to a global community of the world's top music teachers. And when you're ready, join hundreds of other teachers around the world by becoming a Top Music Pro member and get access to all our bonus content and flagship courses. And don't forget to follow topmusic.co on social media and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to it. That's all for today. We'll see you in the studio.